Hi class, this is Miss Page. I am making a video on adding positive and negative rational numbers, and I would like for you to be taking notes on this on your page. The first thing I want you to do is to fill in your name and your block number here, and we're going to add positive and negative rational numbers today. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to review the rules for adding integers. And what those rules say is that when we have a positive number and another positive number and we're adding them together, of course we're going to have a positive number. You guys know that, for example, 1 plus 1 is 2. But if we have a negative number and a negative number, when we're adding those, we're always going to get a negative answer. Okay, so if we go to the left and we add on the number line and then we add another negative number to that on the number line, we're going to be further to the left on the number line, so we're still going to be negative. Now, when our signs are the same, you're going to find the sum of two numbers. Okay, that means we're just going to add two numbers. But it gets a little more interesting when we have signs that are different. Okay, so if we have a positive number and we have a negative number, then our answer can be either positive or negative. It's just going to depend on the numbers that are there. Okay, the sign is going to depend on, or the answer of the sign of the answer, is going to depend on which number is bigger or which number has the greater absolute value. Okay? Absolute value is our distance from 0. So whichever one is further from 0, that's the one that the sign, that the answer is going to have the sign of. Okay, so when our signs are different, you're going to find the difference between them. Of course, difference signifies subtracting. So even though it's an addition problem, if our signs are different, we are going to subtract. Okay, well, let's move on from there and start actually adding some rational numbers. Okay, we've got decimals. Let me see if I can get this to sit still. We've got some decimals that we're going to add. Our example is negative 3.471, and we're going to add to that a negative 0.02. Let's fill in our steps. We're going to line up the decimals. Trying to hold the camera and write at the same time doesn't work very good. And then we're going to fill in zeros. And then we're going to bring our decimal down, straight down. Okay, so 3.471 added to 0.02. Both of those are negative numbers. Okay, we're going to fill in a 0. We've lined up our decimals and we add it up. 9, 4, the decimal comes straight down, and 3 and 0 is 3. Okay, so 3.491, and both of our numbers were negative, so our answer is going to be negative. Okay, so we can just put a box around that because there's our answer, negative 3.491. On the back side of that, we've got some more examples. Okay, we've got adding fractions with different denominators. And when we add fractions with different denominators, we're going to follow some steps. First of all, we're going to find a common denominator, and then we're going to change both fractions to new equivalent fractions. And we're going to add our numerators. And the denominator stays the same. Okay? So if we have the two fractions 2/3 and negative 1/4, first thing that we're going to do is find a common denominator, and we're going to do that by listing our multiples. So the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and 12. Multiples of 4, 4, 8, and 12. When you get to the first one that they have in common, you have found the least common multiple that they have in common, and that is your common denominator. So we're going to have two new fractions with the denominator of 12. Okay? Now, we can't add them with the same numerators they had before. We have to change the numerators so that they're equivalent fractions. Okay? So, like 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent fractions. We have to still add these same fractions, but just with different denominators. So we have to change our numerator too. So 4 times 3 is 12. -1 times 3 is -3. And 3 times 4 is 12. So 2 times 4 is 8. We're going to add those together. Use your rules for integers. We have different signs, so we're going to find the difference. The difference between 8 and 3 is 5, and the 12 stays the same. Now the sign of the answer comes from our number with a larger absolute value, and that is the positive 8. So it is a positive 5/12 is the answer there. And then moving on to our last example, we're adding two mixed numbers. The rules for this situation is, well, we're going to have to recall how to turn a mixed number into an improper fraction, because we got to change it into an improper fraction. And to do that, we multiply our denominator by our whole number, and then we add the numerator. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Add the numerator. And then we turn an improper fraction into a mixed number by dividing. Let's go ahead and fill that in before we go back over to our numbers. Okay, so changing a mixed number into an improper fraction. Multiply your denominator by your whole number. Add the numerator. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Over 9, still going to keep the same sign, negative. And then 3 times 3 is 9, plus that 1 is going to give me a 10. My denominator stays the same. It's still negative. And we're adding. Okay? But we can't add these fractions until we go back up here, until they have a common denominator. So, if I list my multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, we have a common denominator, 9 and 9. I'm not going to have to do anything to this fraction, but I am going to have to change this one so that we have a 9 as our denominator. So 3 times 3 is 9, so 10 times 3 is -30. We're going to add that to the -19 over here, and our signs are the same, so we find the sum. -19 and -30 is -49, and then 9 and 9, so there we go. And then to turn an improper fraction that we have here as our answer back into a mixed number, we're going to divide. So I'm going to come out here to the side, and I'm going to put my 49 divided by 9. It goes 5 times, 45, and the remainder of 4. So 5 and 4/9 is how I would read that. It is negative still, so -5 and 4/9. Okay, well, I hope this all helps you, and our next lesson will be on subtracting rational numbers. So thank you very much, guys.